Okay, I want to clear up a couple things before I go on with the comparison between Chapter 2 and Episode 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. Had a couple people post in the comments stating that they were worried I was going to read past Episode 2 of the anime of Tokyo Ghoul. No, I will not. This format's going to work like this, how I'm about to explain it. For instance, I will wait till an episode comes out, for instance, Episode 3, okay? And then once I finished watching Episode 3, give my review to it or whatever, then I will read the manga, read up to the chapters that are currently up to date with that individual episode, and then stop for the next week. That's how this format's going to work. So pretty much, I will not read the manga, the next chapters after the current episode, until that episode is out. Okay, so I'm going to be watching the anime first, then reading the manga, watching the anime, reading the manga. That's how it's going to be. So anyways, back on topic, I had someone point out in the comments on my last comparison video, someone told me that it was 5 chapters instead of 3 chapters for the first episode. I'm sorry, my bad, my mistake, and I accept I mess up sometimes. I am human. So anyways, now let's talk about the comparison. Now I'm starting to see why a couple people had some problems with the first episode. Now, I'm not saying I hate Tokyo Ghoul now. I'm not saying the anime is garbage. I'm not going to say that. But I see now why a couple people are upset with how they handled the adaptation, especially with this individual chapter. Now, I'm just talking about Chapter 2. I've yet to read 3, 4, or 5 that goes with Episode 1. Chapter 2... the main focus of Chapter 2 is just showcasing that ghouls cannot eat normal human food. That's exactly what Chapter 2 is there for. That's all the information is for. I think it has 34 pages, if I'm correct, and that the entire information of that chapter is just showcasing Kaneki trying to eat regular food. He's getting sickish. Eventually, it leads him to looking at the television in the first episode, and you see how the person's talk on the television about how regular ghouls cannot eat human food. And so I like that entire aspect a lot. But there was another scene specifically in this chapter that they cut out that I really don't understand why they cut out, because it was a very important scene, as I could see from this chapter. Now, I can understand the entire concept about the food. I like how they handled that in the first episode. They pretty much just shortened that down, and they pretty much converted that into just a quick second to find out that he couldn't eat regular food from the television. That's all we really needed from the first episode, so I'm not going to complain there with how they handled that. But there was a little bit of the information they kind of skipped once again. For instance, Hide's character development. They skipped his character development in Chapter 2. And I've noticed they've been doing that for the past 2 chapters. I'm starting to get worried about that. So anyways, let's talk about the main thing, the big thing I saw them skip that I'm just like, what the fuck? But okay, right at the end of the chapter, we see Toka. You know, Toka, the girl that saves Kaneki in the first episode right at the end. Well, we find out Toka in the end of Chapter 2 talks to Kaneki for the first time she meets him as a ghoul. For instance, that entire scene in Episode 1 of Tokyo Ghoul, okay? Kaneki already made contact with Toka and knew she was a ghoul before that entire scene from the first episode. Now, okay, so in the second chapter, we see this old man hitting on Toka and, you know, just being very perverted like a dirty old man. That's pretty much what's going on. And then you see Kaneki starting to succumb to hunger, and he's looking at Toka. And he's like, oh my god, look at those legs, all that, they look so delicious. That's exactly what he's thinking. He's like, she looks delicious. Saying that to Toka. He doesn't know she's a ghoul yet. And then all of a sudden, the dude, the old man, looks at Kaneki, says, oh my god, you're a monster. And then all of a sudden, his head flies off. His head flies off because Toka kills him. And then she's like, oh, I don't like dirty old man's meat and all that. It tastes nasty. She rips off his fucking arm and says, hey, you can have one of these limbs, whoever you are. So pretty much, Kaneki already came in contact with Toka to begin with. This entire contact with her trying to get him to eat some food was already happening in the second chapter, and I'm guessing Chapter 5 is what the events of the end of the first episode was. And so I'm trying to question, why would they skip that? That seems like that would be very important for character development for Toka, because the way they skipped it, she just came out of nowhere in the first episode. If I look at it now, she did come out of nowhere. Like, how'd she know to be there at that exact moment to help out Kaneki? And so, with this entire event, wow, that's bugging me. Why would they skip that? Maybe I gotta read the Chapter 3 and 4 and 5 to really see why they would skip that scene, but from my standpoint, that's yeah. Okay, overall, I guess the anime so far, it's adapting it properly, but I'm just, like I said, my big question is, why would they do that? Now, everybody, let me know your opinions on this. If you've read Chapter 2, please let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that entire scene being skipped? I mean, I understand the scenes with the food and stuff, how it was handled, but that scene with Toka, yeah. Well, anyways, everybody, I love all of you so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.